Hello everyone and welcome here to this game of StarCraft. It was found on reddit.com/r/castit. I'll be your host Thaco, and we will see spawning here on Bel'Shir Vestige as our red Protoss player. It is going to be Mythic. And his opponent in the bottom right as our blue Terran player from clan TBCX, it is ScarMoose, the scariest of the mooses to ever play StarCraft. We see he is choosing to not go for that wall off here. Instead, he is just building that as close as he can to his mineral lines. Doesn't want to be wasting that mining time. And really, let's be honest with ourselves. What can Protoss do to you this early in the game that you're going to regret not having a wall off? There's not a whole lot that can happen. And there's the potential of a proxy 2-racks in your base where the Protoss player just kills you with zealots nice and early. But we've already seen that didn't happen, so ScarMoose is going to be safe here as he chooses to just build everything near his base, even going for an incredibly early gas on 12. Should be looking at most likely a Reaper opening or some other kind of gas-intensive opening. Both players getting good scout timings across the map, meeting each other about just past halfway on Mythic side of the map, so ScarMoose knows that he has the edge on that scout timing. His scout will see everything first. Oh, and what has he continued to go for? Fully saturating that gas. That barracks is almost done, and we should have about 50 gas right as that finishes, so he should be grabbing that Reaper as soon as he can. Just a standard gateway opening, it looks like here, out of Mythic, even grabbing that cybernetics core, going straight through his tech, not opting to go for that one gate expand. Not really the style building placements he had put down, so that could have been expected, but you never know what you might see. He could have chosen to go for something incredibly weird. Is he going to try to hide this so he can come back later? Nope. Is that just on patrol? Yeah, he just wants to have that there for later so he can potentially toss down a pylon block or something if he sees that ScarMoose is moving out to expand. ScarMoose, for his part, has kept his SCV up in his opponent's base so he can turn a later scout as well. Going straight up to that Stalker there and gotta skip all Zealot timings. Stalker, best defense against, well, actually a Reaper, which we have not seen gone for yet. Instead, we see a factory and a tech lab. Oh, is he going all the way up to... I mean, is he going all the way up to Starport here for a Banshee? As soon as he has that 100 gas, we'll find out, and that should happen momentarily. He might be going all the way up to Banshees here. There's the Starport. That might be straight up to Banshee, especially with this tech lab here on the barracks. I would have expected to see more gas at this point for that to happen. He is low on gas, but I'm assuming he's practiced this. He knows what he needs to do. He knows how he wants to have it played out. So he's going for that gas timing that he's chosen. A lot of Stalkers coming out here for his opponent. No Forge or Robotics base, so there is no opportunity for detection. So if he can get Cloak Banshees pushed out here pretty quickly, that's going to be a pretty strong push out of ScarMoose, as Mythic will have nothing with which to defend. And the Starport's done. What does he choose to transfer that around anything? That probe was discovered and summarily killed. He has not yet transferred anything to the Starport, and in fact started stim. Alright, I rescind everything I was saying about the potential for Banshee play. He just went for a whole lot of tech labs. Alright, it works. As we see, two Stalkers are now moving out across the map. Both players are getting those natural expansions up. I believe it looks like Mythic's is already finished. As these two Stalkers push in here, they are going to meet this Widow Mine as it kills off one of the Stalkers, weakens the shield on the other, and he will retreat with that main Stalker, or surviving Stalker. As the Mothership Core and two Stalkers are still out on ScarMoose's side of the map, but there should be no more aggression coming out of them if they wish to stay alive. There we go. That's the end of my theoretical Banshee play. As we see the reactor coming down on the Starport, that will be going up into Medevacs, and the potential for Vikings should he see Colossi come into play. And there we go. Now we have ScarMoose's natural done. Both players are now saturating their natural bases as cannons are going down to the middle lines for Mythic. He wants to be extra safe against any type of drop. He wants those to be defended. He already knows Widow Mines are in place, so he knows the potential for a Widow Mine drop could happen. And, well, nobody wants to lose their entire mineral line to a mineral line, to a Widow Mine drop in your mineral line. So he's going to be extra safe against that. The second gas was grabbed. It looks like Stimpack is 3/4 of the way done. Our first medevacs are being produced, and 2 additional barracks are being added on. And siege tanks are going to be the weapon of choice out of that factory for ScarMoose. And up on his side of the map, we see that Mythic. Oh, he's got that Forge down. He's got that Twilight Council down. The Twilight Council isn't adding on to anything. It has opened a path. Oh, there we go. There's the Templar Archive just started down up top. So High Templar are the Templar of choice so far, as additional gateways are being added on. +1 armor is being researched. So Mythic is ahead in the tech war. He is about tied up in the supply count, and economy-wise, they're sitting about the same. So Mythic is holding in very strong to this game. As we wait to see as this pushes forward, will we see Mythic go for any of those more common, aggressive? Oh, that's aggressive. That's not two fully loaded medevacs. And there they are being emptied out. Okay. ScarMoose minimized the risk there. He got his Marines equaled out evenly between the 2 medevacs. Did not want to, should one of them die to a feedback or, well, I mean feedback because we just saw a whole lot of High Templar being warped in. He did not want to lose them, lose all of them in one go, so he spread them out evenly between 2. Oh, there's actually nothing defending here along this drop path. The entire army sitting out here in front. Archons are going to be what we get out of that. So it looks like Zealot Archon as we see the charge upgrades going. It's the +2 armor upgrade. This is in full vision. There we go. Now he's boosting up towards that mineral line. The cannon giving him some cause for alarm. Marine starting to work on that. Okay, there he goes. He comes out forward. He starts working on some drones. Tries instantly that the cannon is what he needs to kill. There we go with the photon overcharge being used to pick off a lot of his units, and that army is starting to dance forward. He took a lot of damage onto one of those medevacs. He lost, I believe, 2 Marines there. Should be the kill count. 4 total lost in this game. He can't go back in here. If he could pick off that Templar Archive, that would be huge. But with that photon overcharge, 6 Marines will not kill off a building fast enough, and it looks like he's going down to the natural. But he will have a harder time of the natural because the army is right there. Cannons instantly starting to do high amounts of damage to those Marines. First Marine falls, second Marine falls. He instantly picks up all of them in the very low health medevac. 1 Archon shot, and that will be done. Sentry is the thing tickling it. That will not help. Oh, and there are 3 Stalkers being warped up into the main base, and they will instantly pick off that fully loaded medevac. The empty one is trying its hardest to retreat, and it will get back to the dead zone behind that. And while all that was going on, both players did start work onto their 3rd expansion. So we will see this high econ game continue to become even a higher econ as both players continue to wait for their big break. We'll have to say, though, of the 2 of them, I believe ScarMoose is using his resources more wisely. And that has nothing to do with the army comp that they're going for. I love the army comp that Mythic is going for. It is more just their spending skill right now. Mythic is sitting up around 10k, and, well, ScarMoose is about 400. That could be credited to the fact that I don't think that Mythic is consistently warping in units. He is waiting till he needs them. He proved me wrong with a warp in right there, but he does then kind of reposition a little bit. He just doesn't have as much need for units in that instant as he adds on a robotics facility and a Stargate. We'll have to see what he decides to go for out of those. I can't imagine anything out of the Stargate other than Void Rays. I mean, Phoenix is to potentially pick off Vikings, but there's no Vikings, and I like the Void Ray better anyways. It's more versatile in this matchup. ScarMoose's 3rd, or Mythic's 3rd is finished up. ScarMoose's, as well. Okay, everyone's 3rd is done and getting saturated as they are both producing maximum amounts. Ooh, medevac gets picked off there as it ventures too far forward away from the army. Vikings are already in play at a ScarMoose, but there are no good little micro battle going on over here. It looks like there will not be a single Marine death as the weakened one was micro back earlier, and then medevacs did arrive. Oh, there's the fight. The siege tanks are trying their hardest to get siege up, and now they are sieged, and the army is clumped up, and most of the shields are gone on everything. And there are no ghosts in that, so that would have all been tank shot damage that took out all of that health. With medevacs trying their hardest to get everything back to full health as this bruised army of Mythic retreats back up into the base, and we see that Those thirds are still sitting about equal economy as everything was loaded up into medevacs, getting ready to push forward. Looks like they're going to try to head back towards the main as tanks and Vikings try to hold this area. Widowmine's being brought forward to help strengthen this little siege position. I wouldn't even call it a siege position at this point, more of a contained position out of ScarMoose as Mythic is being held back further up into his base, but no pressure has been put onto his third. Neither player's thirds have been pressured at all as ScarMoose goes in and he drops onto those gateways and starts going at them. Instantly the photon overcharge ability comes down and damage starts going down. I believe he's targeting down Marines. Marines are his target of choice here. As ScarMoose tries to take out this gateway, Mythic is bringing back Zealots to help deal with this. Everything's being loaded up as they take damage. Everything is in medevacs and they are retreating out of the range from that photon overcharge. A gateway got picked off when a pylon that was right there too, but this pylon, there was more than enough pylon coverage on everything. So he's retreating his army all the way back, leaving these tanks and Widowmines a little exposed to if this army chose to push forward, as Immortals have now been added in. Immortals will eat those tank shots perfectly and not suffer those big hits, and Void Rays are the unit of choice out of that Stargate. As strangely enough, no gas has been added here at the third for Mythic. Protoss usually a very gas-intensive army. It's a little strange to see him not choose to go for that now, because that poor Sacrificial Zealot gets taken out by the tanks. Tanks are starting to take some pretty good hits as the Widowmines do burrow, and there's the army moves forward. The Widowmine shots go on Zealots, but the Zealots were right next to the Marines, and a lot of damage goes on the Marines there as well. Looks like the Thor will fall, and now those tanks are useless, and they will all be taken out. Mythic will successfully here have broken that contained position, but what's he going to do? He is instantly going to start moving his army back up towards the main base in that dropship. As everything there is taken out, he instantly starts targeting down more gateways, it looks like, as a huge warping of Zealots comes in, and those will tear apart those Marines. With Void Rays being brought in, he might actually be able to successfully pin back the medevacs as he's putting a lot of good damage on all of them. All of the ground units do fall here. It looks like the Void Ray falls as well. And the full army has come back now. They will have to deal with this as another gateway falls. A lot of gateways are low on health. He might actually just be sacrificing his base here as the Photon Overcharge ability has been used again. 2 gateways fell to that attack, as did a couple of Void Rays and a lot of Zealots. So that brings us down to, I think, just 4 gates at this point in the game. If I use the right buttons, that would be extra helpful. It's just those 4 gateways. I didn't see them on the structures tab. But 4 gates this late in the game is not enough to continue producing the large army that the Protoss player will need to take out the army of the army of ScarMoose is moving across. ScarMoose went for that heavy Hellbat army to deal with all of those Zealots. The Zealots will just fall to the flaming power of those Hellbats. Does not look like he has upgraded the Infernal Pre-Igniters for the Blue Flame, which should be okay. Workers won't die as fast. But these Zealots are starting to become a real issue for him. But what's going to be even bigger of a problem is going to be those Immortals. But he has transitioned fully out of his tank comp. So those Immortals will take full damage from everything at this point, except for the Widowmines, as those Zealots charge forward and just melt to the Hellbats. The Hellbats taking out everything. But the army's so clumped up that these Archons did great damage there. As he continues to try to push forward, it looks like that Thor is doing great work on those Void Rays, and now just Immortals remain, and the Immortals are melting everything as they delete all of the Hellbats. Looks like there are only Marines and Marauders left, a huge number of medevacs, but it is not going to be enough to continue pushing forward here as even the Thor falls, and the ground army of Mythic held the day in the form of those Immortals. And it looks like here we just see ScarMoose is streaming units across the map, just feeding kills to those Immortals. Those Immortals just easily delete anything that ScarMoose can bring out. And these trades have become less and less effective for ScarMoose, as he is now about 2,000 minerals down on the units lost tab. And that base still not even fully saturated for Mythic. He does not decide to go get those gas, as ScarMoose has decided that, you know what, I lost a couple attacks, I need a 4th and a 5th base as he gets those saturated. That's a good thing, though, as his main base and his natural do start to mine down. He does need new sources of income, especially considering I think he's still muling in his main base. That's just not cost efficient, as there are not enough minerals there for that mule to really... The mule just can't come to life yet. Looks like +3 attack is coming out of both sides, We already have +3 armor for the Protoss player, Mythic, as ScarMoose gets both his +3 as well as his +3 attack, armor and attack, and it looks like +1 for his mech units. A little strange that he's choosing to do that, as mainly his army is a pretty heavy mech comp right now in the form of those Hellbats and Thors, that he only is just now starting to get those mech upgrades. And I'm sorry, that's not the +3 Terran infantry upgrade. That's the +2 mech armor upgrade that we see in the production tab for ScarMoose. And Mythic is starting to take his 4th base. Finally got those gases saturated at his 3rd. I mean, I spent quite a while earlier talking about how he needed a lot of gas. I guess not really when he went for such heavy zealot comp. He really needed those minerals. But I mean, the sooner he can get those, the better. He opens up this choke point in case of any future Protoss attacking. He wants maximum surface area for his army to engage that Protoss player in. The scans go down across the map, finding that that 4th base is just now being established for Mythic. He should start moving across the map that way and trying to deny that base, especially because he still does need to keep this 3rd mining base alive, and those are in such close proximity to each other. Both players will hopefully create this right side of the map into a battlefield where things can just start going just insane as the armies start trading with each other. As we see both players approaching max here, and actually now maxing out. Void Rays trying their hardest to take down medevacs. They do not want the medevac to be an efficient thing in this game. I believe that's a Storm upgraded earlier. Storm is on the map, so I don't know why he hasn't been using that. Instead, getting everything he can into Archons. I think he's low on gas, quite just have the gas to get a heavy number. And this base is just gone. It's not worthwhile for Mythic to engage here, and he does not. He starts retreating. He can't hold this position, and are already with the Nexus down. It would just be inefficient for him to try to engage. Now he does have to keep his 3rd mining base alive, so it cannot allow ScarMoose to push any farther here, and it looks like he's actually thinking better about it. Not going to engage, waiting for those 2 Colossi. They do not have thermal lances, and he's going to pin that army back up into the 3rd base as he brings down his Colossi. He brings down his Zealot Archon, and the supply for Mythic is plummeting here. Oh, but finally the Colossi are in the fight, and Mythic starts getting the upper hand as additional Warpers and Zealots come in behind that Marine Marauder and just tear through everything. There was nothing to deal with those Colossi, and those Colossi absolutely tear apart the army of ScarMoose. As those Colossi, well, actually don't get the highest number of kills. Those Immortals have really been the hero of the day, as he does keep, ScarMoose is able to retain a large quantity of his medevacs. This might not be how he retains them, though, as he flies them right through those Void Rays. 1 medevac falls, 2 medevacs fall, 3 medevacs, 4 medevacs, 5 medevacs. 5 medevacs will fall out of 7. That is a costly trade there for nothing. Those medevacs ever so important for keeping himself alive, especially now when he needs to be producing Vikings out of that starport so he can deal with those Colossi that are not continuing to be produced. We also do not see extended thermal lance being produced, so I don't think he intends to there. Well, there's 2 more Colossi actually. He does need that extended thermal lance upgrade if he continues to want those Vikings Colossi to be an efficient part of this game. Is that the +3 shield upgrade for the Protoss army? That's not something you see every day. His army will be 3-3-3. Well, it's going to be helpful against, well, the 2-3 and the 3-3 of the Terran player. Going in for the drop here, hopefully taking out pylons, looking for that supply block, hopefully unpowering some of these gateways. As the first pylon will fall, 2 gateways are empowered. He now switches over to focusing down those unpowered gateways. Continues to take out gateways as Zealots are being brought to deal with this, and he instantly picks up and moves for the, oh, looks like he might go all the way down to the natural and see what he can find down there, but Zealots are warped in down there, and he will not try to take anything out in addition. And it looks like this drop has been shut down for the time being. This base has not yet been saturated. It is, however, a planetary fortress, so it will hold its own the longer this game goes. And it looks like he might just have to bring this drop home at some point in the near foreseeable future. Or is he going to try to drop and take out this ever so low gateway? And it looks like he might. Not good focus fire on it yet. There he goes, and it looks like the gateway will fall as the armies do meet down on the south side. Those Colossi are tearing through the armor, but there now are Vikings in the composition. As the first Colossi falls, looks like, no, he's actually focusing down Void Rays. The second Colossi might fall now, but it does not matter as the Thors are torn apart by those Colossi. The drop up in the main is able to take down, it looks like, the gateway that was there and a couple pylons here and there. But this the third base will fall. Was running low on minerals, but the bigger pickup here is going to be those barracks that he is able to take out. As these Colossi do get low on health, he is going to have to think about how he is reinforcing here. He does not have pylons nearby, but that is two barracks that were taken out, and I don't think any of the SCVs died. It's been a pretty peaceful game for the workers here, as we see 7 killed for both sides. Not a whole lot of damage done to them yet, as there are 2 barracks chilling here. Is he going to scout with these? He might lose them if he tries. There are quite a few anti-air units in this composition, not focusing down the injured Colossi. That injured Colossi so low on health, as we see additional gases being added here onto the 4th for Mythic. He does have an additional Colossi that he did just bring down across the map. It looks like he is still choosing to make those High Templars into Archons instead of using them for those storms. As that third base was lost, though, he just instantly saturated his 5th over here on the left-hand side, as it looks like Mythic is now also trying to establish a 5th on the left-hand side. So once again, both players' freshest mining bases are going to be right next to each other, and as soon as they recognize that, they are going to have to start trying to trade those bases. Oh, looks like he did find that weakened Colossi. Brings down a lot of the shields on it, but between those Archons and those Stalkers, he is not able to engage there, but it looks like he is going to try to cordon off this army with the Vikings, and he's doing a great job at tearing through the Colossi as the Archons and Immortals try to take out the ground army. It looks like he is going to be able to save the base, but at the cost of all of his Colossi. Those 7 Colossi to save this base. As he continues to push forward with his Immortals and his Stalkers, he is able to save the base, but once again, it was at the cost of his Vikings. He finally figured out he did not have that extended thermal lance upgrade, and he does start to upgrade that, getting additional High Templar in the form of those Archons. We're still waiting for this base to be completed so he can work on saturating that, as he is mined out in his main and his natural, and his 3rd is starting to mine low, as he has had that most of the game. That base is finished. I believe we see even more saturation coming here to this 3rd, not 3rd, 5th for ScarMoose, as he has mined out his main and his natural as well. His 3rd is going to last a little longer because he did not saturate it as heavily, as quickly, as the Vikings have once again found the Colossi, taking down 1, weakening the 2nd. Looks like even taking down, can't quite take down the 2nd. He's going to try to distract the ground army so that the ground army has to deal with these Hellbats while the Vikings take out the final Colossi. That extended thermal lance upgrade is now finished. We'll have to see if he continues to produce those Colossi, or if he goes for 6 High Templar or 3 Archon. He goes for the 3 Archons, and it looks like he's got drops are ready to go, even a Thor drop coming in. And where is he going to take these? That is going to be the question of the day. Is he loading this up for a scary Doomish type drop in the main? It looks like he might be, but he is going to meet an army if he tries. And he does not have his own full army. Oh no, but Mythic moving his entire army down to the left-hand side to protect his new base. Looks like he will, as a result, lose his 4th. And he is now trying his hardest to run his entire army back across the map so he can defend this 4th base. But he will not get there in time. This base is sacrificed. It will fall. It is forfeit. He does take out a Thor, but there is nothing he can do to save that base. So he regathers his entire army on the high ground here. And ScarMoose does pull his army back. Oh, and it looks like that Mythic will actually wind up beating ScarMoose's army down here on the low ground as the Zealots charge right in there and carve up all of those Marines. A lot of that ground army from ScarMoose is already dead, as Mythic's Immortals just continue to pile on the pressure onto any of the mech of ScarMoose that remains, and Mythic brings in additional Zealots there to finally wrap up all of it. And it looks like they will trade bases 1 for 1 here. Without the anti-air, though, I don't think Mythic can take out that command center. Finally, for the first time in this game, killing up a large quantity of SCVs, but it looks like the trade on those are still just about even, with 14 to 15 killed respectively. And choosing not to kill off these barracks is an interesting choice here. They are right in his vision. He can tell that they are there. I am puzzled by the fact that he chooses to let those live here, but probably back taking care of trying to re-establish this base. Does not want to overextend, as he needs to know about this base. Does he know about that base? He does not. He has never gotten a scout over there, and vice versa. Well, I mean, the bad news for Mythic is that ScarMoose knows about everything that Mythic is doing. He knows about all of his base locations, whereas Mythic only knows that ScarMoose has expanded here and I think down to the bottom left as well, but we will not check that right now, because right now we see an engagement coming on with a huge Hellbat army trying to melt away all of those zealots, but it looks like the supplies are dropping just about evenly here as they trade quickly back and forth. Those zealots doing a great job against the Marines, but the Hellbats trying their hardest to make sure that there are not any zealots left in the army. And it looks like ScarMoose has come out on the higher end of this, but with a lower tech army. So as Mythic continues to push forward, he can easily push through that very low tech army of ScarMoose, and he just does just that. Those Archons melting away any of the bio that was even pretending to remain alive there. Both players on incredibly low supplies, as Mythic does not want to press his advantage. Does he know about the bases on the left-hand side? He does not yet. He is waiting for reinforcing zealots, and those zealots are going to run along that left side, and they will find that base. It is a planetary fortress. They cannot kill it, especially not with that many SCVs to repair. He is going to take a huge concerted effort of all of Mythic's forces to try to take out this base. I hope at this point he has the intelligence to just be killing all this. He does not. He's going for the planetary, but he cannot. All of the mining that Mythic or ScarMoose can possibly do at this point in the game is happening over here at this base, as these zealots are removed from the game. ScarMoose spent all of his income trying to get that done, though, because he sacrificed everything he had in order to repair. He recognizes that and continues mining, as the final zealots look like they are going to fall momentarily. Not quite yet. Wow, actually these zealots might pull it off. This planetary is getting incredibly low, and there we go. The SCVs can finally get a handle back on the repair, and they get it back up and stabilized, as we see 22 workers were killed off in total, and there are 17 mining and just even more not mining. How many is that? That is going to be 58 SCVs mining here eventually, as we see the final push coming out of Mythic here into the main base. We see Thor's falling, and there's the GG out of ScarMoose, as his economy's been crushed. His infrastructure's been crushed. He had nothing left. That was a blow for blow being traded through the mid game there. But unfortunately, Mythic was able to get the higher tech army that could just deal with everything that ScarMoose could throw at him. So congratulations to Mythic there. Good job on a very well played game. And I hope you will all join me for more games of StarCraft in the future. Thank you all. Good night.